How's it going, everybody, and welcome to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing some spark plugs on my 2013 Subaru WRX. As you guys can see right here, we got some NGK Iridium spark plugs. These are pre-gapped already, so I don't have to worry about doing any of that. And I trust that it's gapped properly. Don't mind the orange gloves, I know they're fancy. This job shouldn't be too hard, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's not drag this video on. Alright guys, before we begin, I'm going to show you all the tools that I will be using in this video in case you guys are wondering or want to get prepared for this install yourself. So starting from left to right, I have two ratchets right here. This one's obviously electrical, and then I have a manual one. I'm only using this one to speed things up in areas where I can, but mainly going to be using the manual ratchet right here. I have this tube right here that goes onto the end of a ratchet, and this basically just extends the length of it. If I need to get more leverage to break something loose, I can. Then moving on, we have the extensions. I have a very long extension and a short extension. These are going to come in very handy when getting to the spark plugs. Next, I have a 10mm wrench right here. Moving on to the sockets, this is going to be a spark plug socket, as you guys can see on the inside. Then I also have a 10mm right here, and then a 12mm right here. This is like a little swivel socket that just helps get into tight areas. And the last two things, I got some pliers and a flathead. And that is basically all the tools that you guys are going to need to do this job. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so to start off, we're going to go ahead and do the driver's side first, which is going to be cylinder 4 in the back and cylinder 2. So the first thing that we're going to do is get some of these things out of the way, and then that way it will expose the spark plugs and we can get them out. So what we're going to do first is get this battery out. Go ahead and disconnect the negative and the positive, as well as you want to take these two 10mm bolts out as well fully. Take this bracket out, pull the battery out, and then we'll go on to the next step. And once you loosen these ones enough, there's little hooks that will just unhook and you can take this thing right off. You really only have to loosen one side because then it'll have enough leverage to get the other side out. Then you want to go ahead and grab the battery and pull it right out. So now we got that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and move on to this air pump right here. Let's get this out of the way as well. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is take this 10mm bolt out right here that goes to this black cover, and then take the cover off as well. Okay, so before I continue, I'm just going to get this headlight and adjust it to go this way, so that way I get a little bit more light in this area for you guys while we're working. And if you guys are interested in this light, I actually made a video on it, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. I'll go ahead and link that below. But let me go ahead and readjust that light. Alright, so with my light moved over a little bit, this is what we're going to do next. With that cover off, you guys can see this bolt got exposed. It's a 10mm bolt. This one needs to get removed. Then we want to get this bolt right here and remove that one as well. Also 10mm bolt. Shine some light on it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. That one right there. And then one last bolt right there, as you guys can see on the bottom. We have to get that one out. Alright, so let's go ahead and get those 3 bolts out. And you already know I'm going to be using my new Milwaukee fuel ratchet. This is my first time using this in the real world, so let's see how it does. I just need to get some magnetic sockets. It'll make life easier. This still works pretty good. As you guys can see. Would you look at that? It's already getting dirty. Man, they grow up so quick. It's nice to keep these nearby. Keep your hands nice and clean. And your beautiful tools. I think it's going to stay like that at this point. Whatever, they're going to get dirty. Might as well let them. Alright guys, so after you got those 3 bolts out, you want to go over here where there's a hose and there's a hose clamp. So what you want to do is grab some pliers, grip onto that hose clamp, and then try to pull this air pump right off, and it should come off. Alright, so what you want to do is grab your pliers, push the hose clamp in like that, and then push this air pump right off. Should be able to come off now. And before you actually pull this pump out, you do want to disconnect this harness. There's a plug right there that you can disconnect, or you can disconnect the one right here. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I feel like it's easier, but that's your choice to make. See if I can do it with one hand while I'm recording. There we go. Get that plug disconnected. Now pull this pump out. Just like that. Alright you guys, we're getting closer and closer to the spark plugs. So they're basically just behind this plastic piece right here. What we got to do is take this bolt out. As you guys can see, it's right down there. Another 10mm. You want to go ahead and get that one removed, and then this little plastic piece should be able to lift up. Alright, so let's get that 10mm bolt out. Makes things easier. As you guys can see, it's now loose. You can kind of lift it up out of the way a little bit. Alright you guys, so with this lifted up, you guys can now see your coil packs right down there. 2 of them, and behind that is your spark plugs. So let's get those guys out. So we're gonna start with this coil pack right here. There's gonna be this 12mm bolt. You wanna go ahead and remove this. And now this bolt isn't gonna come out all the way. It's just gonna loosen up. So loosen it as much as you can and then pull this coil pack right out. So I'm gonna use this ratchet right here with a short 12mm socket on it. So once you break it loose, you can just kind of unscrew it with your hand. It's a lot easier that way. And if you're having a hard time pulling this out, just pull it out by the bolts. You got more leverage that way. There we go. So this coil pack is out. Go ahead and disconnect this coil pack by just pushing up on this tab right here with a flathead and pushing the clip right out. Now let's get that spark plug out. So here's the spark plug socket right here, as you guys can see. It's a special socket to take out spark plugs. You guys are gonna need one of these. This is gonna slip right onto the spark plug, and then we're gonna get an extension, maybe a swivel ratchet, and try to get this thing right out. As you guys can see, I got the spark plug socket right here, swivel ratchet, and extension. Alright, so once you got the extension on there, you just want to kind of break it loose and be gentle with the angle you have. There we go. Alright, so I went ahead and broke it loose, and I should be able to get it out a little bit easier now. So after you break it loose, should be able to get it out with your hand. It's a little rough to come out, and I have slippery hands, but it's coming out. Just gonna quickly take off the swivel part because it's getting in the way. As you guys can see, it's a very tight area to work in. And there we go. There is the spark plug. Alright, let's go ahead and grab the new one and slap it right in. Alright, so here's the spark plug right here. Trying not to touch it with my gloves. Alright, now some people put anti-seize on these threads. I don't. I'm not going to do that because, first of all, the factory doesn't do that, and also don't want to have any problems in the future by putting anti-seize on here. Just don't over torque it and you won't have a problem. Oh yeah, another quick tip, you guys. So when reinstalling the socket, it's a good idea to put some tape or something around this socket and your extension, because sometimes when you are reinstalling these two can be loose to each other. Like they come apart really easily. And that can cause this part to get stuck inside of the engine where the spark plug is, because the spark plug is just holding onto it so hard. Then it's a very hard time to get this part out. So just for safety measure, throw some tape around here. I'm gonna do that, and then we'll be right back. So just a little bit of added security to keep these two from disconnecting. All right, so let's grab our spark plug and gently set it into our socket, like so. Now hand thread this on as much as you guys can. I got some oily hands, but I'm gonna do my best. And then you wanna tighten it about 1/4 to a 1/2 turn with your ratchet when you can feel it getting tight. Don't over torque this though. Alright, so it's hand tight now. Let's go ahead and grab the extension, put it back on, and tighten it about 1/4 to a 1/2 turn. There we go, that should be tight enough. Let's go ahead and get our socket back out. Alright you guys, so before we put on the coil pack onto the cylinder number 2, we're going to go ahead and do this one right here, which is cylinder number 4, and then we're going to put the coil packs on at the same time. So again, there's going to be another 12mm bolt holding that one in, so you want to go ahead and get your socket in there. Break this one loose. There we go. After you broke it loose, it should be able to come out with your hand, or at least loosen with your hand. So go ahead and do that. All right, now to get this coil pack out, you want to pull it out as much as you can, just to get it out of there a little bit. Then spin it 180 degrees, and then you should be able to pull it right out. So basically, try to pull this out as much as you can, like so. Then you want to spin it like that. All right, there we go, 180 degrees. Now you want to go ahead and just push it up like so and pull it right out of here. Like that. And then again, we're going to disconnect this connector for now, and let's get that spark plug out. Up on this connector, push away from it. All right, now we can get that spark plug out. So we got the extension with the spark plug socket on here. Let's go ahead and stick it in, get it onto the spark plug itself. All right, so if you guys get the right socket and the right extension, you should be able to put a ratchet right inside of there and use that to break it loose and get it out of there. All right, so let's go ahead and try to break this loose now without breaking some knuckles. Sometimes a pipe like this comes in handy to get that extra little bit of leverage. There we go. Once you got that loose, you don't want to go too much because then you're not going to be able to get your ratchet out. So get your ratchet off and try to do it with your hands. Alright, so I went ahead and pulled it out really quick before I loosened it all the way because I don't want my ratchet to get stuck between that little space. So I'm going to take this extension off and just put the swivel socket on here onto my ratchet and I hope that clears. Alright, now let's go ahead and take this out the rest of this way. See if there's a chance that I can do it with by hands now. Alright, it's coming out slowly but surely. It's just really slippery, so I'm going to try to use a paper towel, clean it up a little bit. And the gloves. And out she goes. So there is the other spark plug. Let's go ahead and grab the new one and slap her in. And it's taped as a precaution. And again, no anti-seize on here. That's up to you. Let's go ahead and hand thread this in. And be careful when you're doing this part, you don't want to cross thread it. Just gonna cause so much more issues. So now I'm gonna tighten it a little bit more with this ratchet and it should be good. Alright, now that we did that, let's go ahead and put the coil packs right back on. Start at the rear. So what we're gonna do first is plug this guy in here. Make sure it fully clips in. There we go, that's good. Now this is gonna go in basically the same way you took it out. So if you guys remember, we just wanna have this angled a little bit, like so. That's pretty much it. You just gotta maneuver it in a way to where it's gonna go into the block and clear this spot at the same time. All you gotta do now is just seat this coil pack onto your spark plug and tighten this bolt. Also make sure this bolt is facing towards you. And you'll be able to feel when it seats onto your spark plug. Kind of like that. And you know your coil pack is sitting on your spark plug nice. When you push on it, it's not bouncing back. It's on there sturdy. Then go ahead and just tighten this bolt down. Alright, that one's done. Let's grab the other coil pack. Alright, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and plug this guy back in as well. Get a nice audible click in it. And this one should be pretty simple to put back. I'm going to go ahead and hand tighten this as much as I can and then torque it down. Alright, so this side is finished. Let's go ahead and put everything back and then move on to that side. First things first, let's slide this guy down, put him right here, and let's get that bolt and put it back. Alright, now the 10mm bolt that we took out goes right down here. Alright, that is done. Let's go ahead and grab the air pump and put it back. Alright, for this air pump, you want to go ahead and grab this part and slide it into the hose right there. And then we'll go ahead and grab the 3 bolts and tighten it down. Now let's go ahead and hand thread these bolts onto here. Well, alright, let's go ahead and tighten them all down then. Perfect. And do not forget to plug it right back in. Make sure you hear an audible click. There we go. Now all we have left is to put the battery back on this side, and then we are all done and we can move on to the next side. And to put this thing back on, there's little holes that you guys can get the hooks and hook it into. That's basically what you want to do. Alright, so I'll go ahead and connect this. And we'll save that for later. Alright you guys, so that's one side done. Let's go ahead and move on to the next side. Oh yeah, we also have to throw this cover on right here, so let's go ahead and do that. Boom, should be nice and simple. Just put this on here with the bolt. Now I'm going to take out my 2 10mm bolts that are right here. And my intake should be able to slide right out of here. One tip is to push it forward first, push it up, and then pull it out. As you guys can see, the coil packs are already exposed right here after just taking out the intake. So there's one right there, the other one's right there. So you should be able to get these out a lot easier than that side. So let's get to it. Same process, but on this side. All right, guys, on this side, I'm gonna start with the back one. So let's go ahead and get over there, break it loose, and let's take it out. All right, with this coil pack, you can just pull it out. It's not a big deal. And let's go ahead and disconnect it. Tab right here, push up on it, pull away. All right, you guys, time for the spark plug. All right, got my ratchet on here. Now let's go ahead and loosen it up. This is what I use this thing for. It's like a little bit of an extension for your ratchet. To slide your ratchet on. And then you can use it to break your bolts. Or spark plugs. All right, let's take our ratchet off. See if we can get it off by hand. All right, guys, there's the spark plug. Let's go grab the new one and let's go put it in. All right, so spark plug, we got the socket. Gently put it into the socket. Oh yeah, and as always, I'm gonna go ahead and tape my little swivel ratchet onto here so it comes out with the socket. Let's go ahead and get the spark plug in here now. Alright, this is as much as I can get with my hand. Alright, got the ratchet on there. Let's go ahead and make like a 4th turn, maybe half a turn. Alright, that'll do. Let's get the coil pack and put it back on. So grab this connector, clip it on, make sure it's got an audible click. And now for this side, you want to make sure this connector is facing the bottom, bolts facing away from you. Kind of put it in upside down at first, let it fall in there. And that's when you want to spin it into the cylinder right here. Just like so. Should be able to slide it right onto the spark plug and then tighten that bolt down. Get my ratchet right on there and torque it down. Oh, my glove's falling apart. Hopefully it lasts for one more spark plug. All right, so we got one more to do. This just looks janky, so I'm gonna take it off. No glove for this one. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do this last one right here. This one shouldn't be too bad at all either. All right, guys, so the last coil pack and spark plug that we need to get out is right there. And there's a little bracket with the harness on there with the 10mm bolt. So go ahead and loosen that, get it out of the way, and then get this coil pack out. I'll go ahead and pick that up. Now you don't really have to move it too much, you just gotta loosen the bolt, just so that way when you loosen the coil pack, it all can kind of move together. All right, let's loosen this coil pack as well. Let's get that guy loosened up. All right, it is out. Let's pull the coil pack out. So just grab the coil pack and just kind of pull it upwards. And it should come out like so. I'm not even gonna bother disconnecting this one. Just gotta take the spark plug out and then put it right back. So let's go ahead and do that. Spark plug socket. Just gonna throw an extension onto this guy. All right, so we got that out. Since we got room. And we got the spark plug out, boys. Let's get the new one in. All right, guys, so the last plug that we have left, let's go ahead and slide her in. So I'm gonna slide it in like this, hand tight, and then I'm gonna put the extension on. Man, am I glad I saved the easiest one for last, right, boys? So that right there is hand tight. So once you got it hand tight, you want to do 1/4 to a half turn, depending on how tight it's feeling. See how kind of they get stuck? I have an extension on there with tape so I can still get it out. But if you didn't have something like this, you're gonna have to take your spark plug out again and get the socket out, and it's a hassle. And last but not least, let's get this coil pack right back on. Don't forget this away from you and this towards the bottom. So let's tighten it up now. And let's get this last bolt that we just took out. Alright, cool. Coil packs are in. Those spark plugs are in. Now let's go ahead and get this intake back on. So just slide it on more than it needs to go on. Slide it back and then slide it back into position. Alright, now once you got the intake back on, go ahead and get this coupler tightened as well. Alright, got that. Now let's get these two bolts back in here as well. And then let's get these guys tightened down as well. Last but not least, you get this MAP sensor plug right back in. Well, there you guys have it. Spark plugs are now finished. I hope this was nice and detailed enough for you guys to be able to do this yourselves. As long as you guys have the right tools, this job shouldn't be too bad. If you guys have any recommendations for a specific video you guys would like me to make, let me know down in the comments below and I'll definitely consider it. Well, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike if you didn't. And I'll see you guys in another video. Have a great day, everybody.